Okay, tell me when it hits live. Miriam's multitasking. Okay, hopefully we are live for our epic transformational class on the powers and energies of Nissan this year. In today's class, we're going to learn the deeper messages behind cleaning for Pesach, how to declutter our neshama, experiencing inner liberation and accessing your highest potential by manifesting and freeing ourselves from all the things that hold us back from accessing that. We're going to eliminate all the blockages that hold us back from that. And we're going to tap into the crazy, powerful energies of this month of Nisan that begins on Sunday, I think. And as we're starting to get, hopefully, physically, some of us ready for Nisan, for Pesach and Pesach cleaning, we also want to get ourselves spiritually ready at the same time so that the day and the energy of the day doesn't pass over us. Rather, we can internalize it. If you're new here, welcome to our circle of Jewish women from really everywhere in the world, tapping into our deepest selves, connecting to our neshama and to each other. Welcome. I'm so honored that you're here. I want to dedicate all of the learning and growth that happens today to our brothers and sisters in captivity, to their safety and protection and return, and the safety and protection of all of our chayalim, and the awesome imas and the milu imas and the wives of the chayalim and the moms on the front line. This is for you. Okay, so we're going to begin with just an intro into what Nisan is all about. We learned that Pesach is a continuous event that happens every year. Pesach meaning Yetziat Mitzrayim. In Chassidut, we learn Yetziat Mitzrayim was not just a one-time occurrence, but it's something that actually continuously happens every day. And we translate Yetziat Mitzrayim as leaving our Meitzarim. Mitzrayim is not just a place on the map, it's a state of limitation. Meitzar in Hebrew means a limit and a constriction. And so every day we're actually told to mention, we mention Yetziat Mitzrayim multiple times a day. And we say one of the 12 psukim is B'chol Dor V'Dor, one of the Maimar Chazal, B'chol Dor V'Dor Chayav Adam Liros. And we add B'chol Yom B'Yom. Every day we want to experience liberation from yesterday's restrictions. But this happens every day, but it happens in Nisan in an even more powerful way, because the energy of Nisan allows us to even more than usual break free from our limitations in a way that's different. And we're going to get to it soon. Usually we break free in a way of step by step, leaving yesterday's limitations. And in Nisan, it happens in a much more powerful way where there's this shifting of energies every month. And the energy of Nisan from the beginning of time is an energy of liberation and redemption, which allows us to tap into a higher level of being liberated from all of the restrictions, the Mitzrayim that are from within and from without. Just a little paradigm shift about energies. Usually when I would ask someone, why are we celebrating freedom and miracles in the month of Nisan? They would say, because we left Egypt. But Chassidut looks at it the opposite. They say, no, it's the exact opposite. We actually left Egypt in Nisan because from the beginning of time, the energy of this entire month, every month begins at Rosh Chodesh. Chodesh means anew. On the first day of the month, there's a shifting of the energy that Hashem blows into this world. He returns energy of the previous month, blows a new energy into that month. And the energy of this month, from the beginning of time of Nisan, has been Nisim. The word Nisan means not just Nisim, but Nisei Nisim. It's been a miraculous energy, and that's why of all the months, when were we liberated from Egypt? In this month. And on which day of the month? I love this idea. The months go according to the moon, and when the moon is the fullest, the energy of that month is the most potent. And so on the 15th day of the month, the energy of the month of liberation, the energy of liberation is the most potent, and that's why we were redeemed on the 15th of Nisan, not the other way around. And so we think this energy is cyclical. Every year as we enter Nisan, we re-enter this state of total redemption and liberation where we could tap into breaking free of all of our limited consciousness, of all of the whole things that weigh us down and hold us back from being our highest self. And so Nisan, from the beginning of creation, has this redemptive energy, and that's what and also this miracle, this redemptive energy in a way that's different in every day, because it comes in the way of the miraculous. It's not a step-by-step way that we can see, the growth, but it's in a way that totally, they went from being slaves, the Jewish people went from being slaves to being free people in the blink of an eye. So it's in a miraculous way that transcends the limitations and the steps that we usually take to climb out of our Meitzarim. Yeah? Okay. Another thing about redemption, before, this is all like we're laying the ground for what we're trying to build up to today. We're really trying to build up to this process of liberating ourselves. And the last thing to know that the Rebbe taught is that cherus means redemption in Hebrew is cherut. And he taught the cherut, what is freedom? Because often we categorize freedom as like what you're not. I'm not restricted. But in truth, the way the Chassidut translates true freedom is the ability to be your greatest unbridled, to be your greatest potential, being fully expressed without anything holding it back. And true freedom is really subjective for every person and for every creation. Rebbe has a whole beautiful letter wrote to somebody about how freedom for a plant is having everything it needs to grow. If you give that to an animal, and the animal can't move around, it's limited and it's not free. It's trapped and caged. But if you put a plant in a cage, it's free to grow and to have the sun. And the same thing for a human. If you give a human everything an animal has, but it doesn't have the ability to think and connect and speak and be creative, then that's limited for the human and for a Jew as well. Because we have a nefesh elokit, if you give a Jew everything you give a non-Jew to be free, creativity, but it doesn't have the power, the Jew doesn't have the power to express his or her godly soul, his nefesh elokit through Torah and mitzvot, then that Jew is trapped. And so we see that true liberation looks different. It's subjective. It's not the same for every person. And then I take it even a step deeper, really. And for me, it's liberation looks different for each one of you and us, because Hashem gave every one of us our own unique neshama, our own unique soul with different capabilities and strength. And so freedom for you will look different than freedom for someone else. Like the doctor who had a patient who couldn't see, and he's like, here, take my glasses. And the patient was like, I still can't see. He's like, I don't understand. It works for me, right? What works for you and what's free for you won't be the same for everyone else. And so freedom for you individually is your neshama being able to fully express the greatness of your essence fully in the world without anything limiting you or holding you back from within or without. That is what Chayris looks like. And so the first step in accessing that is going to be we're going to have a minute of meditation and just picturing and putting it out there in the world in our letters of thought, and then in our letters of drawing it down into something physical. And the more we materialize it through our words or through drawing it on paper, the more real it becomes, the more physical we draw it down into this world. And so let's take a minute to close our eyes and imagine what freedom looks like for me as an neshama. What is my highest potential, right? What does me look like? Goddess you, goddess me, fully expressing her energy in the world. If I could change the world, what is the greatest impact I wish I could make on the world, on myself, on my inner growth and outer growth? What light do I have inside of me that wants to burst out, that I'm holding back? What mark do I want to leave on the world? What impact can I make in the world if I wasn't afraid of anything? If I wasn't afraid of failing, if I wasn't afraid of ridicule, if I wasn't afraid of all of my self-doubts, that I can't do it well enough, that someone could do it better than me, that everyone will laugh at me, that I won't be able to accomplish it. If none of those existed, what would I look like right now? What makes me passionate? Like, this makes my blood boil. It gets me up in the morning. I want to do this. I want to make this mark. What do I want them to say about me after 180 years? What is it that is my essence? What is my neshama's calling? And it doesn't even have to be huge things externally. It could be things on how I impact the world, but also how can I heal and grow as an individual, as a neshama, and just what does my highest self look like in my relationships with myself, with Hashem, and those are my children, those around me, my spouse, my beloved, and my friends and my family. How does my highest self look? And then bringing it even more finite. What blessings and miracles do I want for myself this year? Do I need a house? Do I need parnasah? Do I need a shidduch? What liberation? What yitziat mitzrayim do I need in a physical way? A shidduch, health for children, having better shalom bayis, having love, having healing. And so thinking and manifesting the greatest miracles you can ever imagine. And then that's step one. Just knowing what that looks like, picturing it. The step later on that I'm going to tell you is going to be speaking it. Okay, I'm going to tell you the next steps and then we're going to go into them. I'm not sure which comes first, step 2 or 3, but let's say step 2 for me is writing down, asking myself, right, what does that look like for me and why am I not accessing that highest potential? What is holding me greatest, highest goddess self? And making a list, and I like to make 2 columns. So one column is Mitzrayim, Mitzarim that come from without, outer restraints, right? Money, time, people's opinion, right? Actual restraints that are not in my control, they're in Hashem's control. What are other ones, examples? I only thought of money, time, energy. Energy is a good one.
Others' expectations. Health.
Health, right? Actual things that are not in my control. And then the bigger, what's crazy is that usually the more confining restraints usually come from within us. Sometimes the bigger restraints and the external restraints are the limitations that come from me. And so the other column, I write my mitzrayim, my self-imposed limitations. What are my self-imposed fears? My amalek, right? Amalek is that doubt. That like that Amalek is the root of all of our ego that like holds us back. All of our mitzrayim and limiting beliefs, it comes from our doubts. And so what fears, doubts are holding me back. And I'll give you a personal example that literally just came up this week that I was very hard for me to share, but I said I'm going to push myself to share this. I really broke down 2 nights ago to my husband and was like, literally, I'm so frustrated every single year comes Pesach, and there are so many opportunities to like share my light, speak on different platforms or places in the world or in a frat or online that I every year want to approach and put myself out there and say, hey, I would love to share and speak on this platform, and I don't because of my fear of rejection. And every year I tell myself, next year I'm going to do it. This is my 4th year where I missed the boat again. And I really broke down to my husband. I'm like, I am in my own way. I'm the biggest person in my own way. I'm missing all the chances I never took because of my deep fear of rejection and her and like being a failure. And so like that fear of rejection is so real. And I'm like even more frustrated by not even putting myself out there year after year after year. My fear of rejection, even like there's so many like places I'm like people, there's so many examples of that in my own life. And I was really like breaking down. And to me, the first step in that is speaking about it. This is the liberation of this. This is another topic that is one of the key themes of Pesach. There's 2 main mitzvot of Pesach. One is, you tell me, guys. What? Chametz and matzah. The main mitzvah, Doraisa, is on the first night of Pesach to eat matzah and to eliminate chametz all of Pesach. The other mitzvah that we see coming up over and over is speaking. V'yigadata labincha bayom hahu leimar. That I'll take you out of Mitzrayim, leman tesaper, so that you could tell over the story of Mitzrayim. Again, it says that we are here in Mitzrayim to tell over the story of our redemption. The kol hamar b'lesaper, the Mechachamim tell us, and whoever speaks more, harei ze meshubach. The more we talking, it's a big deal. V'yigadata labincha, speaking to your child or your inner child. The Rebbe says that when you're talking to your child, you're speaking to the little child in you, the part of you that is afraid, that is held back by its own limitations and its own restraints. That's who we're talking to. And what is the power of speech? The first step to breaking free of any limitation is speaking about it. And I think I shared this. I had this crazy epiphany that in the first of the Sefer Dibrot, Hashem says, "Ani Hashem Elokecha, that I took you out of Egypt, out of slavery." Why are we always bringing up our past, right? Move on. We were slaves. We don't want to keep remembering who we were. Why do we have to keep talking about that we were slaves in this Egypt? Let's speak about the future. I am Hashem who brought you to Har Sinai. Why are we always talking about our stuck past? Because we're only able to free ourselves of our baggage if we speak about it, and our trauma. The only freedom of shame, the only liberation of shame and trauma and anything negative that happened to you is when we talk about it. That's the first and necessary step as I'm human, as a medaber, to break free. And that is why Hashem, to me, the Sefer Dibrot, Hashem says, you'll only be free of your Egyptian bond, of your inner Mitzrayim, if you say, I am Hashem who can take you out of your limitations. Talk about where you came from. Talk about your baggage, your trauma, because who you are, where you came from, your darkness, right? We said Hashem is not afraid of that, and you shouldn't be afraid of your darkness and your past and where you came from and all of the mess that you are come from or are going through right now, because that is who you are right now. I am Hashem. You are the Jewish nation because you went through what you went through. And the more we speak about what we went through, the more we're free of its hold on us, and then we can access liberation that comes after. But the liberation only, the who we are comes as a part of that deal. This is something I wasn't going to share this class, but fine, I'll save for next class, about how matzah is the bread of matzah. Whole is the bread we see is lechem oni, or reminds us of how we were poor. It's called the bread of the poor. Anyone who's poor come and eat. But it's also the bread of redemption. It reminds us that in such a quick amount of time, our bread didn't even have time to rise. Hashem redeemed us. And we learned that pain. The Rebbe says that pain, the matzah represents both pain, trauma, slavery, and freedom, to teach us that one comes with follows the other, and they come together. Mina meitza karatika anani b'merchavka. We come from pain and we experience liberation that follows. We shouldn't be afraid to talk about the things that are holding us back. Even though I was so liberated after sharing that with my husband and like unveiling, I felt like that was the first step to like, maybe next year I won't be so much in my own way because I finally verbalized it. I knew in my heart that I'm in my own way, that I'm so afraid of rejection that I don't put myself out there. I almost got in my own way of being able to share at the Chabad convention because I really was like, no, it's going to fail. I'm going to flop. It's going to be horrible. I'm going to like dive in there. You know, what if it's terrible? And so many people are better than me in comparison, and etc. And thank God, like didn't get in my own way then. And I was able to share my light with those whoever connected with it. And so being able to share that for me was the first step to liberation. And so the first step after manifesting or knowing who your neshama could be, an iota of the greatness of who you could be, the next step is acknowledging and verbalizing all of the inner and outer limitations of Mitzrayim that are holding you down. How am I getting in my own way? How am I blocking myself? What fears and doubts? What my limited and false beliefs about myself that I have that are holding me down? And so really, I love to title this class every year something along the lines of how to unsubscribe. We'll get that from toxic trends, limiting beliefs, how to free ourselves from and I really love the paradigm of unsubscribing. I'm going to get to it in a moment. We're just building up to it. So step one, picturing that goddess you. Step two, listing and verbalizing, because Hey is all about Dibor and all about speech, verbalizing to break free of the hold that all of our limitations have on us and all of the baggage and all of our trauma and all of the fears and doubts that we have. So verbalizing it and making a list and knowing what they are so that we can break their hold on us. Okay, now, there's two ways that we can leave these doubts, right? Our goal in the whole month of energy of Nissan is breaking our Mitzrayim. And there's two ways to do it. There's the way we do it all year and in Nissan, and then there's the way it's done, what happens on Pesach. The first way we do it, the usual way, is that to get out of limitations, I need to make a plan, right? A plan of what I'm going to do, make a first step, right? Take the first step in that direction, picture what it looks like, and think, how can I free myself? What's the first step I can do? For example, if I'm afraid of rejection, I can make a step-by-step plan of how I'm going to have someone by my side, right? Ask someone for moral support, be aware of what I'm going through, speak about it, verbalize it, picture what that would look like, breaking free of it, self-talk, etc., until I can break free of that fear and not get in my own way and just take that tiny first step. You're like, what's that first step? Reaching out to the person and making that first step. That's the step-by-step way of climbing up. This is how we do it in Pesach, and this is what Pesach cleaning really is. And I'll tell you this, Pesach cleaning is going through all of my toxic beliefs that are limiting me and holding me back, that I subscribe to unknowingly. And so I love the model of subscription because I go through my inbox and I'm like, or my Instagram feed or my YouTube channels, and I'm like, why am I seeing all this garbage? Like, when did I subscribe to this? I don't remember subscribing to this. And it's like in my face, and I'm like, I don't even know when I decided to follow this person, unfollow, right? And so sometimes you have to go through a conscious unfollowing to stop getting all of these ads or just like unhealthy, like body, like lose all your baby weight in 2 weeks. You have to look this size to be beautiful. You have to do Botox. So I'm not saying that those things are bad, but for me, those things in my life right now are just making me feel horrible about myself. And so I think Pesach cleaning is like the same thing. It's going through those beliefs that I unconsciously subscribe to. When did I start believing this about myself to be true? That in order to be X, in order to be loved, I need to be this. That I always have to people please everyone around me. That I can't have, boundaries. That I can only be loved if I'm a certain size, a certain body type, if I dress a certain way, if I act a certain way, I need to have a certain amount of followers. I need to have external validation. There's so many, an unlimited list. You should actually have a list of like the common core beliefs. I can read you toxic or unlimiting beliefs, and specifically to women, right? I need to be everything to everyone. My worth is based on how productive I am, on how much I'm producing. That's my worth, or how beautiful I am is my worth. If I'm too emotional, it means if I share my vulnerability and emotional, people won't respect me or love me, or I'll be too weak. If I set any boundaries, then people won't like me or love me. That's, my worth is based on X, Y, and Z. I can't be successful and be a good mom, wife, etc. at the same time. Other people can do it better than me. What I want is not realistic. I'm not smart enough, right? I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. If I shine so brightly, I'll make others uncomfortable around me. People will be uncomfortable. People will ridicule me. They'll say, who do you think you are, right? There won't be space space for utterance. And so all of these limiting beliefs, we want to go through them and just like mentally unscribe. One of like the ways that like a practical way that an example that this happened to me once was that I had a friend, I have a friend, and once I noticed that she lost a lot of weight, and I would just glad like, hey, whatever, blank, let's call her Masha. Hey, Masha, you look so good. Did you lose weight? And then after like a second, I was just like, what did I just say? So I'm like, I'm so sorry. You do look amazing. But I actually like somehow followed that, like subscribe to the belief that when you lose weight, you look better. And I was like, you actually look just, for real, you look just as gorgeous before you lost weight. And now, I don't actually think you look more beautiful now. If you're trying to lose weight, good for you. But I don't know why I said that. Like I'm conditioned and I like subscribe to the people that actually think you look better now. And I'm like, you actually were always so stunning and you still look stunning. And you lost weight, good for you. But like, and it really shifted me. And I'm so much more careful now not to like comment on that because it pushes the agenda that like you lost more weight, you are more beautiful. What if somebody is going through an eating disorder or they're going through a trauma or a mental health crisis and they're losing weight? And I'm complimenting on that. Yeah.
I complimented one lady once.
Yeah.
That she lost weight and she was good, and she said, I have reflux.
She has acid reflux, right? It's a disease that she can't eat. Right. And so I realized like how many beliefs I like subscribe to that like I didn't even choose to subscribe to. They just like, I just happen. And so I go through all of my limiting beliefs about myself that I need to look or act or be a certain way to be valued, loved, worthy, to be a chelak eloka. And then I go step by step and unconsciously choose to click unsubscribe, to unfollow that and say, this is not for me right now, right? Maybe when I'm in a better, stronger place and I want to work out, I'll follow that person that teaches me how to lose all my baby weight in 10 days. Right now, I'm going to follow people who are body positive, who speak about loving the body Hashem gave you. I'm going to unfollow anyone who makes me feel right now in this season of my life, it's not good for me. And so that's the avoda to me of the inner work of Pesach cleaning. Pesach cleaning, let's pause. We'll have to get back to this in a moment. Way number two of leading Mitzrayim is crazy. It's in a way of not even needing to do all the steps, skipping all of the steps. It's a way of Pesach. The word Pesach means zilug, to jump over, literally to pass over and jump over all the steps. So normally in the regular time, or even in Nissan, we're consciously, actively working to take away these limiting beliefs. But in Pesach, on this night of Pesach, this energy, the same way that Hashem took us from being slaves to free in a moment, Hashem has the power to take us from one stage to a totally new stage of transformation and skipping over all of the steps in between. We don't need to limit ourselves we don't need to limit Hashem, right, to all these steps. We limit ourselves and say, I can only reach if I go through all these steps, right? The only way I'll be able to be this is if this happens. And Hashem is like, what do you mean? I can make it happen in the blink of an eye, right? If like for me, I'm like, the only way I could buy a house is if a new project opens out, right? Why am I limiting Hashem to my limited thinking? Hashem could give us a home or Beit Chabad in one moment. Hashem is not confined to my limited way of thinking. And so on Pesach, that's what happens. Hashem shines this energy that just like on the 15th of Nisan, on that night of Pesach, Hashem shone this energy where we went from slaves to free in one moment, so quickly that our dough didn't even have time to rise. Every year on this day, night of Pesach, Hashem shines this powerful light where we have nothing to do, but receive that energy and allow Hashem to take us from our meitzar to merchav, from our limitations to the total expansion, to the liberation, from our trauma to total healing, to whatever transformation that needs to happen. It's this miraculous, powerful energy that shines with nothing I don't need to do anything on my part. The only avoda I need to do is surrender, and we're going to go through what that looks like and what that means, and I'll surrender and open myself up and literally have this like open posture of Hashem, take me there, right? Skip the steps, dilug, jump over, right? So normally growth is like when I'm walking, growth is like my foot is in one foot is in the previous stage I was, then I climb step by step, jumping. You know what it looks like. It's leaping over, skipping all of the steps in between and reaching a totally new stage. And so that's what it looks like on the night of Pesach. But what's the avoda? Okay, so here's where the avoda. So we do nothing. What do we have to do? And this is where it gets amazing. And this is where we're going to dive into the energies, according to Sefer Yetzirah, of the month of Nisan. Ready? In your sources, I actually brought you the pasuk from Sefer Yetzirah, or the verse from Sefer Yetzirah that talks about Nisan. It's crazy, transformative. Himlich, Os Hey, Hashem crowned the letter Hey, the Sicha, and with speech, the Kasher Lo Keter, and attached to it a crown, the Tzarfan Zebazeh, and unite and join them together, the Tsar Bahem, and formed for them Taleh, lamb, Aries, in the world. the Nissan Bashana, a Nissan in the year of a regular Yamin Benefesh, Zachar Nekeva Barotam. Okay, what we take from this, what we're going to learn from this, is that every month we have a new energy that Hashem's based on the order of the permutation of Hashem's four-letter name. There's 12 ways for Hashem's name, Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey, to be rearranged. And only in Nisan is the letters of Hashem's name in the perfect order. We have an unobstructed flow of Hashem's energy to us in Nisan. Every other time, the letters are rearranged. And when these letters are rearranged, with it comes a totally new type of energy in this month. In the month, every month, Hashem shines His light, filters it through one of the letters. And in Nisan, it's the letter Hey. And if I could spend 3 hours talking about Hey and Pesach and Nisan, I would and I could. All last class was all about Hey, right? About how life happens in the gap in the Hey. Totally other stuff. There's 3 hours or 5 hours of more material about Hey is the essence of everything. But going back a little bit, so Hey is the foundation or the source of all of our speech. And the bodily sense, every month has a bodily sense. Every month has a letter Hashem channels and filters the light through. And every month we have a bodily sense that we activate, that we tap into in that month. And this month it's speech, like we said, that the core of all of Pesach is speech. The Hey and speech are actually connected in the Seder in a cool way. That Hey is 5. And the 5th step of the 15 steps of the Seder is Kadesh, Orchatz, Karpas, Yachatz, Magid, which is speech, which is Vigadata, which is talking. The Sicha, and the energy of the month is speaking. Speaking is our redemptive power. In fact, like it says that what makes a slave, like the whole Pesach is the redemption of speech. There's a really cute way that we learn that Pesach can also be read as Pesach, a mouth that communicates. And Pesach is about transforming para, which is Pera, into a Pesach, and a bad mouth into a mouth that communicates. And that's what our freedom is. Yetzias Mitzrayim is taking our negative self-talk and transforming it into liberating talk. Okay, what are we saying about all this? Why are we talking about the redemptive powers? In Nisan, we learn that the energy of this month of Nisan is the time of our birth. Nisan is our birth as a nation. And it's a time that the light flows from Hashem in a way we have two heads of the Jewish calendar. We have Nisan and Tishrei. And in Tishrei and Nisan are on opposite sides of the circle, of the calendar circle. And in Tishrei, the energy of the month is our avoda. It's called an ani ladodi v'dodi li. We initiate that love, and Hashem reciprocates that love. It's our initiation. It's our avoda of tefushu v'tefillah and tzedakah. In Nisan, it's the exact opposite, where the light begins from Yud, from Hashem, top down. It's where Hashem initiates and shines all of that light to us, all the miraculous light to us, and we just have to receive it. And so Hey, Nisan is Hey is actually the feminine letter of receiving. Hey's, the Yud and the Vav are the creative masculine letters of creating, and the two Heys are the Heys of receiving. And because Hey is letter of Nisan, the entire energy of the month is a feminine energy, because the feminine energy receives that creative seed to create life, nurtures it and houses it, and it only creates space to receive it. And so all of this tied together is also it says that because of it's also the Chachamim tell us that b'schut nashim tzidkanios, we were redeemed, and so the whole Pesach happened in the merit of the feminine energy of receiving the light of Hashem, and in the merit of the feminine, and we will be redeemed in the future, and for the ultimate redemption. And so the feminine energy is the one needed for this redemption. And so what is Yevoda? If Hashem is shining His light top down and giving it to us, we learn. But one more thing about this is that the Shevet, the tribe associated with this month, is the Shevet of, anyone know? Yehuda. And Yehuda was named that. We are called Yehudim because of Yehuda. Was named because of gratitude. They just said, "Pam oda el Hashem." This time I'll be grateful to Hashem, and we are grateful this month for this gift Hashem gave us. The light of Nisan is given to us as a gift. Not like in Tishrei, not as something we work for or do an avoda for, but rather as a gift Hashem gives us that we didn't earn at all. In fact, when Hashem redeemed us from Egypt, it said we were so naked from any merit that Hashem had to give us, to clothe us with this merit of tying our lamb to the bedpost, so we would have something to have any merit to be redeemed. Meaning we did nothing to deserve it. That's what a gift is. If you deserve or earn a gift, it's a reward. It's not a gift anymore. If you ask for a gift, it's not a gift anymore. A gift is just something that's given to you. Just like Nisan is our birth as a nation, we are born at this month. We are reborn as a nation. It's a time of our birth as a Jewish nation. Birth is not something that the fetus has to do anything to earn, or it just has to allow itself to be born and be born. And there's no avoda on its part. And so in Nisan, we literally almost sit back and just allow Hashem to do all the work of transforming us from limitation, from Mitzrayim, to total merchav, to total transformation. Except when we look at Nisan, it's the chag that we work the most for. We have to clean up for we think our whole year like Pesach round, right? Like we're so much labor that goes into preparing for Nisan, but spiritually, it seems to like contrast. So how do we understand this? So just to summarize, we paused to connect this inner work of making space, or what it means, the voda of Nisan, to get out of our limitations by first talking about the energies of the month of Nisan. And we learned that there's a flow of Hashem's light that comes to us as a gift without any avoda of our own from Hashem, without having to earn it. And so our avoda does look like this. When someone gives you a gift, right, you don't have to do anything, but you do have to do one thing. You have to make space to receive that gift, right? If you don't have space to get that gift, if someone gives me a gift, I have no space for it. It's not a gift. It's a burden. It's a cluttering. I'm like, oh no, shoot, I don't want more things in my house. I have no space for it. If I'm buying new clothing, the only way I can really appreciate them is if I can get rid of old clothing first. Otherwise, my closet gets too cluttered and I can't appreciate and receive the gift. And so a gift is not a gift to me if I don't have a way to receive it or to utilize it. If I'm too blocked with things in my house, if my house is overflowing, then it's not a gift at all. And so the whole avoda, literally, Yehuda, gift, hey, energy from above, right? Feminine energy, receiving, making space. The whole energy of Pesach is making space for the light and the nisim that Hashem wants to bestow on us. And what we're doing is literally decluttering. The same way that physically we're making space, we're cleaning out our homes, spring cleaning, the whole world gets this feeling of like, let me just clean out. It's like the nesting feeling that comes. I want to make space in my house for before having a baby. It's like I have this new birth coming. I need to clear out space for it, right? I'm going to buy new clothes. I need to empty things out. Where is this energy coming from? Hashem wants to gift us so much abundant blessing and nisim and transformation. And I have this inner urge to just declutter everything. The outer urge to declutter is actually only the shell of what the inner desire of your neshama is, to make space on my neshama to receive the light. My neshama is blocked. If I have so many baggage and layers covering up my neshama, I can't receive the light. There's no opening. And that is everything about Pesach and Nisan in a nutshell. It's opening up the blockages, taking off all the baggage that I've accumulated over the winter months. Just like in the winter when it's cold, you put on layers and layers, and then in the spring we shed them. In Nisan, we shed in the darkness, in the times of darkness, spiritual darkness, we put on so much armor, defense mechanisms, and we put on so much to cover up the light of our neshama. We take on so much baggage. Now is our time to remove, to spiritually declutter our neshama, to detox our neshama, to let go of all of those limiting beliefs that we use to protect ourselves, right? Like, I'm not going to put myself out there because I want to protect myself. That's baggage that I wear, armor that I wear to protect myself. I'm going to take that off and be okay with being rejected. It's okay. So I'll be rejected. What's going to happen? It's better than not trying at all, right? And so letting go of those fears and those amalek, that little doubt that holds on to you, just shedding and donating and decluttering all of those layers. And so even if I've been going away for Pesach for a few years to spend Pesach with our family, even though I don't clean my house for Pesach, I still do that decluttering, an internal way of decluttering my neshama, because that is the whole inner avoda. The whole outer act is supposed to be a dual act. Every time you're cleaning or decluttering, have the kavana while you're doing that, direct it inwards as your neshama to just put down some of the baggage and donate and declutter and just save it for another season. I don't need this right now. I can be open to Hashem's light. I don't need to protect myself from the greatness Hashem sees in me. Pass that on. Give it over, let go, just put it down and open yourself up so that we have space for the gift. So to summarize, there's no actual active avoda in Nisan. It's a more of a passive avoda, or an active passive avoda of making space for the light. I'm not earning the light. I'm just moving over what needs to be moved over to make an opening. And that is the essence of chametz and matzah also. Chametz and matzah, we learn this every year, but we can't go a year without sharing it, is just to go to this question. We make such a big deal about chametz and matzah. And for imagine someone who never heard of Pesach. It's like, so what are you guys doing? And we're like, well, see, if we love bread, but if it rises for more than 18 minutes, we don't want it in our house. So much so that I can't even eat off of plates that it touched, and I have to buy new dishes for 1 week. I can't touch any bread, and I can only eat bread that didn't rise for 18 minutes. And I'm going to spend a month cleaning my house from every crumb. It sounds like we're insane. Literally insane because of 18 minutes. And if you think about it even more, we learn why do we eat bread? Because the dough of our fathers, the goddess says that matzah zu she'anu ochlim al shumah, al shum shelo hispik b'tzeik avoseinu lahachmetz, because there was no time for it to become chametz, ad shenigla aleim kvod Hashem, because Hashem revealed himself to them so quickly. And we say, so imagine, go back for a minute, imagine that Hashem gave us 45 minutes, 1 hour more, and our dough had time to rise. Could you imagine? We wouldn't have to Pesach clean. We'd be able to eat chametz. Pesach would look so different. We would just talk about the story of Pesach and eat maror and bitter herbs. Imagine how much easier Pesach would be. We're like, couldn't you just wait an hour? Why do you have to leave so quickly? And all this would happen because of it seems like a fluke. And Chassidus teaches us it is way more deeper than that. The difference between chametz and matzah is not just the time it took. There's actually the craziest teaching that Chassidut retranslates these words that says that Achelo hispik. It's not that there was no time for the chametz to matzah to become chametz, but there was no option. Achelo hispik, but sake, there was no option for their chametz, for their dough to become chametz because of the revelation. Because the revelation of Hashem was so great, there was no room for chametz to become. And we're going to learn what the difference between chametz and matzah is in Chassidut. Okay, so I need a marker, a pen. This is who's the math teacher? Algebra? Is this algebra? We're going to look at chametz and matzah and see how, just like bread and matzah are almost identical, the letters are almost identical. Is this when you cross off the sames, right? So if you look at chet in chametz, the tzaddik in matzah and there's a tzaddik in chametz, we cross that out. We cross out the mem in matzah and the mem in chametz, and we're left with the ches and the hey, right? Is that algebra? Which type of math is it when you cross off the... You're reducing? Okay. So we're crossing off mem tzaddik, and we're left with the chet and hey. And even with the chet and hey, they're visually almost identical. The only difference right here is this line. And so that's why I say all of life boils down to this gap in the hay. All of Pesach boils down into this gap in the hay. Right? So chet and hay are visually the same, except hay has this opening above. And we learn that the essence, the difference between chametz and matzah is that chametz represents our pride when there's no space for Hashem. When we think it's all me and there's no room for God. And that is when there's no room, right? There's no puncture in the bread and it rises and it gets full of itself. It's full of hot air, thinking that I'm all that. It's all me. I don't need Hashem. My successes are me. My failures are me. I messed up. I'm full of fears because I'm so afraid that I won't have enough because I don't trust in Hashem. And hey, is that exact same loaf of bread or the exact same person, right? With the same situation, but I make a crack for Hashem. I make an opening. I open myself up. Last class about Plato and Vayakhel Pekudei, which is also this week, we said that Hashem created the world. That there's a pasuk in Parak Beis of the Torah that says, Eila toldot shamayim ba'aretz b'hi baram. Rashi brings down from the Gemara, b'hei baram. Hashem created the entire world with the letter hey. Because this hay teaches us that there's a gap between where the top of the hay and the side is the vision of the perfect life, and the bottom of the hay is the actual reality we live in. And we spend all our life trying to match our reality to the vision of how we want our life to be, what we want to look like. And Hashem makes this crack. And in this crack is where all of the frustration, this disappointment, where I can't make it, where I can't make my life think 100% what I want it to look like. And we learned that Hashem intentionally made this crack because this crack is where we let Hashem in. This crack is where we let neshama in, where we let connection in, where we have vulnerability. And all of the most important things in the world happen in this crack in the hay. And going back to Pesach, that was just a tangent. In Pesach, the difference between chametz and matzah is that for 1 week a year, although the whole year chametz is okay, right? Chametz represents our pride, that we are full of ourselves. We feel full. We feel puffed up. And pride is important because if it wasn't, let's pause for a minute. All year long, we might have chametz, but for 1 week a year, Hashem says, I want you to surrender, to crack open yourself up, to turn your chet into a hay by making yourself an opening for Hashem, by making yourself flat and humble like a matzah, to surrender to Hashem and to know that it's not all me, that every single thing in the world comes from Hashem, that every effort I do, not just my successes are not me, but even when I fail, when I mess up, when things don't work out, when I give a shiur and it didn't come out great, that was from Hashem as well. Hashem planned that I'm not in control, and to total surrender control to Hashem and to say, I can't carry everything, to let go and let Hashem in. Do you mind doing me a huge favor and asking her to just lower the music? Thanks so much. I'm having such a hard time focusing. Okay, so that was so to summarize, the letter and sense of this month is hey, and we said that all of Pesach cleaning is really this. It's making a crack. It's making a space. We want Hashem's light to get in. Hashem is shining this powerful light in Nissan, and there's nowhere for it to get in if we remain a ches. We want to allow the light into our lives by making a crack in the hay. And the way we do that is by Pesach, before Pesach, is by Pesach cleaning, unsubscribing to all of the chametzik beliefs that I believe about myself, and allowing Hashem in, surrendering to something greater, making a crack in myself, being humble and batal. And I used to always think that chametz, ego, pride, looks like feeling like I'm the greatest. And being a matzah feels like I'm being nothing. But I actually have learned that it's actually the opposite sometimes. Sometimes pride doesn't feel like I'm so great, but it feels like I'm in control. I'm a failure. I'm a nothing. I'm a loser. I messed up. It's my bad. I am so terrible. It's all about me. And one of my students that I taught in seminary actually told me this great line. She said, bittul, which is surrender, which is what the entire avoda, the Seder, actually is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking about yourself less. And I love that.
Oh.
Humility, it's not I'm not less, but I'm thinking of myself less. And when I think less of myself less and think more of Hashem, I don't feel nothing. I actually feel infinite. I feel like I'm housing when I think more of Hashem, and I think it's not my efforts, and it's not how great I am or how skinny I am or how good my shiur, how good I prepared, that's going to make my efforts come out true, but it's literally the peace of Hashem talking through me. When I make myself a total vessel to receive from Hashem's light on top, when I open myself up, I feel so much more great. I'm like, it's not little, limited, finite, stuck me in this ches bubble, but when I have this opening above, I'm infinite. I can be the greatest. I'm a piece of Hashem. Hashem woke me up this day because there is something, a light of Hashem that only my neshama can share, that no one else can share. And so true bittul actually makes you feel great, but not in the way that puffs you up with fake greatness, like Moshe Rabbeinu. He was the greatest man in the world, but he was still so humble. And so you can feel infinite, feel Hashem coming through you without feeling like it's me at all. It's not about me. It's all about Hashem. It's not, my ego doesn't get in the way. It's not like you offended me. I don't let that false ego come in, but I let true greatness come through, where I'm just a piece of Hashem and you can't even insult me. It's okay. Like, I'm just okay. Like, Elokah, this is what Hashem wanted for me. Someone screams at me, I'm not gonna get angry, because my ego would say, you're getting mad at me. I'm so great. And my humility is like, this is what Hashem wants for me. This is a growth that Hashem wants for me. Thank you, right? My jealousy doesn't come into play when I feel open up to Hashem, because jealousy says there's not enough to go around. I feel so stuck in my limited vision of what I can achieve. And when I open myself to Hashem, I say, Hashem is enough for everyone to go around. There's enough light, there's enough parnasah, there's enough, no one could take my parnasah, my spouse, my lot in life, because there's enough. I'm opening myself up to infinity. And so when I'm humble and I crack myself open, it feels like I'm going to be nothing, but I'm actually surrendering to something so much greater than myself. And so that is the whole avoda of bittul. And throughout the Seder, our entire avoda, bittul is seen in the Seder as well as tefillah. The other one of the mitzvahs that we do, or midrabanan that we do in the Seder, is we dip twice. Right? On this night, why do we dip twice? Dipping is tefillah, which has the same words as bittul, because the real avoda of the Seder is that Hashem is bringing us to crazy heights and to revealing this really powerful energy. And all I need to do to access that energy is dissolve, surrender to that. Because if I'm holding on, if I'm thinking that I'm the one who's going to get there, then it's going to be like those Jews in Egypt. Hashem was trying to take them to liberation, but they were in their own way. They didn't open themselves up, and they didn't allow Hashem to redeem them. And then that's why so many of the Jews ended up staying in Egypt and not being redeemed. All we need to do is not get in our own way. And the way we do that is by dissolving and cracking open my perception of what I think I need to be, what I think I have to be, what I think I need to do, the steps I need to do, and totally surrender control. And it's hard to surrender control. And that's what dipping is. The act of tevilah, dipping in the Seder, is the act of bittul. It's dissolving. When you dip something, and when the Rebbe teaches that when you dip a food into something else, it loses its flavor. The flavor was coming on. It's dissolving a little bit of itself. And so I'm dissolving anything. The growth only happens when you dissolve what you were before, right? The seed to grow into a tree needs to dissolve and germinate in the ground, dissolve and surrender what it thought it was, so it can become a tree. And so that dissolving process, it might feel scary. It's terrifying, right? I'm letting go of holding on and all the power and control I have in my life, all that ego that makes me feel like I'm in charge. And I'm totally letting go. I'm becoming chametz, matzah. And what we do learn is that chametz is not evil, because even though it's pride and ego, we can't get by in the world, especially now as Jews, without feeling proud of being a Jew. I'm proud to be part of Hashem's army. I'm so proud of the neshama that I house. I have to feel pride, and that's why all year long we have the fluffiest big challahs that we have, but we want to have pride that's not because of me and my limitations, but pride in what I have from Hashem. Pride, not feeling like a shmatza, like a flat nobody that everyone can step around, and being so afraid of my own shadow as a Jew, walking out proudly as a Jew, but not because of my toxic ego, but pride in something greater than myself. pride that comes from Hashem, from the essence of my infinity, because of my neshama, not because of my own efforts. And that's why once a year, Hashem says, do a detox of all chametz. It's like a cleansing process, of cleansing out all the toxic chametz, fully detoxing, so that we can re-enter pride from a place of humility. And so we have this, like, this is really the essence of everything. And so that's one of the inner avodas of Nissan, of the Seder as well. It's being humble, opening ourselves up, and also then through the matzah, through internalizing the matzah, right? We get rid of the chametz in the weeks leading up to Pesach, or maybe some months for some of you. For me, it's a few days. We're getting rid of that chametz that holds me back, that clogs me, that like clogging of my neshama, that doesn't allow my neshama to have that light that Hashem wants to shine in it. And then on the first night of Pesach is the mitzvah to actually eat the matzah, to internalize that humility, to internalize that feeling of surrender to Hashem's greatness, and to actively dip and have maror, and all of the acts of the Seder are a way of surrendering and dissolving what I thought I was to access this tremendous, powerful light on the night of the Seder. And that is what Ches and Hey, that is the deeper reason of Ches and Hey. So it's not just because my dough didn't rise for an hour. It's because, if we go back to the words, Al Chilo Hispik but sake avasei, and this is what I was trying to get to. Chassidus says this crazy teaching that if you retranslate those words, matzah zishanu ochlem al shu ma, we eat matzah because of ma, which in Chassidus is bittul. Ma means power of what? Like I am nothing. It's opening myself up to what? Ma is bittul in Chassidut and Kabbalah. Al shum, and then it continues. Al shum shelo hispik but sake of asein lahachmetz. That their dough, their ego couldn't become chametz because of the revelation of God. So usually we have to get rid of the chametz, but on the first night of Pesach, there is no room for ego, because the other way of getting rid of chametz is that there's a revelation so great of God that there's no room for my ego, right? I can't even have ego if I want to. I can't think this is me if I wanted to think this is me, because there is so much revelation of Hashem right now that even if I wanted to think that I'm in charge, I can't. And that's what happened on that night of revelation. And the deeper way, if you retranslate the Pesach, that their dough couldn't become chametz, even if they wanted to, even if they waited 3 hours, because lo hispik, there was no space for chametz to come, because the revelation, when you're so because the revelation of God that night was so great that there was no room for chametz. And so in our lives, it's those moments when we're so in awe, when we feel Hashem so clearly, when there's such a great miracle, that even if you wanted to feel chametz, you can't. And so that's when Hashem makes you become matzah, right? My grandfather had this, Alav Shalom, had the cutest vart on V'hisha Amda Lavoseinu. This is the bris, the help that stood for us, that not after every generation our nations tried to bring us down, but Hashem didn't allow that. Hashem always saved us. And at the end we say, Ella Shabachol Davardar Amad Aleinu L'Chaloseinu. My grandfather translated, even though it was with a chaf, that every generation they try and make us into chala. Ve'akadosh Baruch Hu Matzi Leinu Miyadam. Hashem makes us back into matzah. That sometimes Hashem shows us so clearly that you can't be chala if you wanted to. You can't think that this is you or anything in nature or any ego. Hashem makes us matzah. Matzi Leinu means Hashem saves us, but my grandfather translated that. That was like one of my, I can't go a Pesach without sharing that part. Okay, I know I shared a lot of random things. I'm going to try and bring it all back into a flow. So we shared that the energy of Nissan is from Hashem. We don't have to do anything to earn it other than cleaning out space to receive that light from Hashem. The energy of Pesach, and the main mitzvah of Pesach, is in line with that. It's transforming the chet, and clearing out a space to make it a hay, opening up the chet, cracking it open to make space for the divine light of Hashem. And then on the night of Pesach, it happens automatically. And we internalize it by eating the matzah. It happens from above, that Hashem reveals a transformation power so great that we are like forced to just become matzah. And we internalize it throughout the Seder by surrendering and trying to dissolve the limitations that we have to open ourselves up to the great light of Hashem. And that is the inner avodah of Pesach cleaning. When we're cleaning outside, we're directing that to inwards, to our neshama as well, at the same time to detoxing and just shedding layers of our neshama, of buildup that are blocking our neshama from being our greatest, highest self. That happens all on its own, and it will happen on its own as long as we don't get in our own way. It will happen. You'll feel this transformative power, and we can tap into it even more by speaking it. And the second step, the thing we could do, is talking about it. The more we speak, the same way that Kol Amar Beblasap Arez and Meshubach, you'll be even more glorified if you could speak more about what liberation looks like. Talk about Geula, talk about a world where Hashem is revealed, talk about a life that you can live if you weren't afraid, if you weren't held back by chametz and by ego, by toxic ego. And speak it more. As the more we speak it, the more we can get on it. And that's what the second mitzvah is. V'higadat lebincha. Speak to your inner child. speak to your children. Chacham Mahu Oimer, the four sons, we're asking questions, we're sharing, we're not afraid to talk about our struggles and our past and speak about what redemption can look like and speak about Geula. And the more we can manifest and share, we can get out of stuckness and more into liberation. And those are the three main avodas: cleaning out, detoxing, just stopping to believe and hold on to those beliefs. And if you want, another practical takeaway is just to go on ChatGPT or Google and look up the common core beliefs. Fill in your own. If I am blank, I will be blank. And look up. There's mantras you can tell yourself that are the opposite of that. And so I can just opposite mantra I can tell myself. If you put in any of your core beliefs that are limiting you, and you put them into ChatGPT or Google, you can, or specifically ChatGPT, ask for affirmations that will counter that feeling, and start to say those to yourself. That's just a practice that I can get stuck out of the stuck things that I'm holding on to that are shaping my beliefs about myself. This is all connected to the feminine energy. Actively doing something that comes from above, making a feminine space to nurture and receive that light, just making a space to have it, to put it, clearing out space to receive that light from Hashem. In between the old reality and the new reality we're in is like a dissolving, right? What was before. There's so much more to say about hay, but I think I'm going to end here. Is there any questions before I end up? Any finished business?
I'd just like to say that chat is actually for kneading, but we're trying to get to the hay, so that's very interesting about. So
Nice chet nisim. Hay is in there.
That is 8.
Oh, 8 is miraculous. Oh, that's so interesting.
So we want to
hay is even greater. I mentioned earlier that hay is the source of all speech because Hashem created the world with, to tie this in. Hashem created the whole world with hay, Bihibaram, because Hashem created the world through the 10 verses and the letters of alphabet and the 10 verses. The source of all speech is hay. The reason is that even physically, we can't speak without breath and voice. And hay, there's 2 hays in Hashem's name that represent the 2 types of creative powers. The hay, the hay, Abraham, that's the hay, that's the voice that comes in every word that we utter. And the past hay is it's a breath. We need breath to speak. And so hay is the source of all creation, because without speaking, hay, we can't have speech. And so hay is speaking and and just like the created the whole world for speech, we create that we want through, we speak at it, and we have inner letters of fire, and we have our brain as well. We you're nothing, you're worthless, you messed up, you're such a failure, you're a loser, and those voices exist. Actually creating that reality. I'm going to change that to you are a piece of divinity, you house within you a piece of Hashem that no one else houses. Hashem woke you up today because there's a light that you can shine to the world that no one else can. Better than you and other things. There's a light you have no one else owns. You tell yourself that body. That's how disgusting I need to the image created you in. Look at yourself and speak to yourself differently, and you create a reality for yourself. And the Hashem's beautiful design, perfect. Me in this moment that I am right now. And so we switch our paro into Pesach, into words and speech that creates. And that's the creative power of hay. And this whole power to literally birth, just like these are the power to birth, create an entire reality through the way that we speak, through the way we communicate, through the way we talk. That power of creation and not because that miracles Hashem wanted to make Abraham and Sarah child, Abraham and Sarai. All he had to do was take the yud of 10 Sarai's name and did it, the hay, and the creative miracle happened. Abraham became Abraham, and the hay Sarai that became Sarah, and that was catalyst needed to create that miracle. And when we tap in and reach that, it's the source of all speech, all the differences, and the when you get to the source of everything, that's when miracles can occur. When you have the the letters are different. There's really a topic, but there's it's light, and the way the differences are from the vessel light filters through. And the 22 letters are the different realities exist in each world. If you go back to the source of where it's all the same. Hey, it's all the same. All the letters are breath and speech are all the same. And to change the cup of water into a cup of coffee or wine, if we could get to the source of the energy, and in its core, it's pure energy, and it can change over there. And so getting to stay just pure divine energy is where you get to for something to change fully in this world. And so again, hey, that was totally just a side tangent about, but I hate miracles when we go back to something in its source where it's just light and everything. It's when you can change something in this reality. So really, in our speech is where we can change things. Creative power in our breath. So I feel like I missed things, but I'm trusting and opening myself up. And I'll really end off with this thought that when one of my avodas, like practical imagery of hay, is constantly reminding myself when I'm stressed about class, or if I feel like I don't know what I'm going to teach, or it didn't all come together, really try, and I should do this more, to just imagine myself as a hay, opening a vessel to receive the wisdom from Hashem. I'm so limited in what I can choose. But if I Hashem's open me up, and I'm a vessel, and I ask Hashem to speak to me, and Hashem send through me whatever wisdom you want, the people that you want to be there to receive. And I'm so much more wholesome. I'm so much more present. I feel so much, what comes out is so much greater than what I can share, because I'm opening myself up to being just a vessel. And the opening on the hay in the bottom is the light that comes out, the whatever speech I share. And all my mouth, our speech, we've been opening up because you can't speak unless there's wisdom, unless there's thoughts. And so our mouths need wisdom from above, needs thoughts and thoughts. And then the outer side of the mouth is where it comes on. Our hay below, our creative organ, the feminine and male reproductive organ, specifically the female, is also called the hay. It's the lower hay. The higher is our mouth, and the lower hay, again, the female receives first the power of creation, the seed from the male, and then that in that hay, and then gives forth, births over the creation, the creative. So the speech above, speech below are exact same, both literally like a hay. There's an opening above and an opening to receive. There has to be both openings, or speech can occur if the mouth is blocked, or if the power to voice, where the breath comes from, and intellect comes from, you can speak. And with creating a child, with the feminine power, the child as well, it can't happen unless there's a space to receive, a place to receive the eggs and the seed, and then a place for the child to emerge. Both have to exist. I love to picture myself as just a vessel, a space, that nurturing feminine space to nurture that, create the wisdom from Hashem, to filter it through whatever filter the light, the my neshama, and then to share that creation with others. And when I am that, I am my greatest self. So much greater than when I rely on my own thoughts, on my own wisdom, or my own intelligence. I can't even explain the difference of how my shiurim come out. And maybe if I would go back and remember, I could be like, oh, that was a shiur where I reminded myself that Hashem should just speak through me as a vessel. And that was a shiur where I relied on my own research and intelligence. And you could see how it flows differently. So, ending off, if I left any loose ends, you'll tell me. You can leave it in a comment if you're watching this, and I will get back to it. I do read your comments, and I really love what you guys share. Just a hi that I know that someone's listening. The next few weeks I bless us all the next few weeks. We have the ability to clear away the chametz, to make space for the tremendous miracles, personally and both on a national level, and to just surrender to the light that Hashem wants to shine through us in our homes, in our hearts, in our bodies, in our neshama, and vessels that experience tremendous ritual. Thank you so much for joining. I love you all. I'm honored that you're here. And I'll see you next week for a class, not just on the energy of Nissan, but specifically on Pesach, the sinner that happens in your soul. And also next week, we'll have a class on men are from matzah, women are from wine. Literally a teaching that I didn't make it up. It is actually from Morel. The men are the 3 cups of wine, and women are the 4 cups of, men are the 3 matzahs, and women are the 4 cups of wine.
So the second will be our last year.
Next week will be our last year.
Okay.
And we're going to have a night class on, hopefully, men are from matzah, women are from wine.